Hey, I'm Gavin, and I was going to share a couple ideas and thoughts about the Hubud Drill and about some of the movements I use with the Hubud Drill. So there's a lot of different ways people use that drill, and there's a lot of different ways people implement other arts within that drill. So it's not necessarily just a pure Filipino martial arts drill. Some people will do even more like kung fu movements. Well, they'll interact different ways and change it a little bit. It doesn't have to necessarily be the three movements. Like some people think about it as a block, a kind of a scoop, and a trap. Okay, there's different ways of doing it. First off, the last trap that I usually do from here is more like a pox out, but it depends, because if the person has a weapon, you might not want to do that. You might want to just grab the arm above the elbow to really pin that arm. So you might be more like that, and then boom, boom. And the reason why you're going around that, you're assuming that you're already in a really close position where there's what I call pressure of contact, so that's within trapping range. There's a lot of pressure on you. It could be a strike, or it could be just the starting of kind of a grappling, and for whatever reason there's a lot of force, and that's why Hubud is a cooperative drill. It's a sensitivity drill, so you're responding to that force, you're reading that energy. If the energy was different, I wouldn't do that same move, but because the force is coming this way, I'm actually shielding here, but then it's not like two bulls butting heads. I'm going to actually change this into kind of a bong sao. It's going to push on me, and I'm going to lift my elbow up. And when I do, it makes it easier to pass, to go to the outside, to attack, or to trap, whatever I want to do. I don't have to do it that way. I could just do it in one motion if I want with one arm. I could just take this first arm, whatever, I'm up, my hands are up like a boxer or whatever, and for whatever reason it gets close, and a grapple situation could start, or sometimes in boxing they just hug each other. But whatever reason, I have this pressure on me, and I'm just going to start to bong sao here, and I'm going to roll it right over the top and clear that, and then I can blast or whatever. I could do body shots in here when I'm here. There's lots of options. The drill is just a kind of a dynamic movement to start learning to be more mobile in sort of a trapping-like position where you're starting to feel some pressure of contact. If the person was pushing on me differently, for example, say I'm here, I'll use this typical trapping reference point type thing. So out here, if they were pushing this way, I might just turn, pull and hit, right? But if they're pushing, in this case when I'm inside and they're pushing this way, economy of motion says to me, I'm not going to fight it, move around here and then try to hit. I'm just going to flow with it. Yeah, there's things I could do, but depending on how far they push, I'm going to just go with it. I can either go with it, scoop up here, or I could just roll, boom, boom, one motion, this kind of motion, boom, boom, boom. But I have to deal with that pressure and preferably without fighting it. I mean, I could just go drop and come up and go take a different line. That's certainly another option. But it's Hubud to me feels a lot like the arm drag, and lots of different grappling arts do the arm drag. It has the same kind of feel, like you're learning how to go around the body. And the reason why sometimes, especially with the weapons, how you want to go around the body is because the front part of the body, the center line, is extremely dangerous when they have a weapon, because that's going to be the brunt of the force. Like if they're coming at you and you can stop it early, or you can zone out and go late, you're way better off. But because right at the front of a strike, right at the total front, you have the most force. So you want to jam their weapon early or after, or whether it be an empty hand or a weapon, you want to start to redirect it without so like when this comes in, I can go around it, boom. So it's just an option. It's one of many options. It's not right or wrong. I don't really get into that whole thing about, people have been arguing for 40 years about, what's officially JKD, and there's really nothing I can add to that argument that hasn't been said. And to me, it's just about training methodologies and what works for different people. And like I've said before, like a drill is anything from, It's a tool, just like weight training or skipping or anything. If there's any human movement that you can do that facilitates either teaching you or helping you memorize things or helping you move more fluidly, then that could be a good thing. Like I said, it's very similar to the arm drag. So the arm, most people know the arm drag, I think, for grappling, but grabbing the wrist, then grabbing more the tricep, and then going past. If their arm's up here, I can, much like Hubud, I can swing this arm around here and then pull. So maybe I can do here, boom, like this kind of motion. You go in the back, then you're at a dominant position where you can attack them easier than they can attack you, and that's kind of what the principle of Hubud is. So the difference between Hubud and some other drills like hitting focus mitts or something like that, it may not always look exactly like how you're going to train, but it's kind of like the difference between, within some of the concept groups, you hear ideas about self-preservation versus self-perfection. So of course you want to learn things right away, like eye jabs and groin shots, and just things that a child or an older lady could do to like give her a better chance of survival. But in time, we want to learn a lot of attributes too, like timing, like sensitivity, like coordination, speed, all these things. And these are attributes, and they don't require, they can be brought out in many different ways. Like someone who plays basketball may have great attributes because of playing basketball. They may be really light on their feet like a cat. So the drills don't have to always replicate the movements exactly. Or you may use, like in Hubud, like I don't really practice bong sao, for example, other than doing Hubud, and I have a very reactionary bong sao, and it's really just from doing Hubud, from that reaction here and then going around, boom, here, going around to redirect that, whether I want to go into an arm bar or whether, and the other thing I was going to talk about is the parry salute thing and why I sometimes use it. It's just an option. Sometimes I go in and my hands are up, sometimes I just parry, sometimes I'll destroy too, because that's another thing I scooped from Kali, is sometimes just taking out that fist right off the bat. And the first time they go and jab, I just intercept, or I parry intercept. Sometimes I'll hit on the inside, sometimes I'll go further. Sometimes I'll parry, but sometimes I'll parry and just do the salute. And the reason why I do it is there are times I might want to grab their arm to facilitate headbutting them more easily, or maybe back fisting their face or groin. So in a case where I parry and this salute comes up, I roll this to grab. So this arm's going to go back as I throw. So it's going to look like this. I parry, I hit, but I might go. See there? So I'm just going arm bar. So I might want to, hyperextend that arm bit. It works particularly good when you are playing with range enough that it's kind of like making them reach for you, and they're getting frustrated because they can't hit you, and so they start hyperextending their limbs and they start reaching further, and you got this nice arm to work with. Boom, boom, like that, or boom, boom, pop. And once again, this is going to zero pressure. But I do the inside stuff too. Even within Hubud, I'll practice the trapping. I'll practice various trapping on the inside as well. Instructions. So I'm moving with Hubud. Just throw in a trap there, whatever. So to me, it's a very useful kind of training modality to bringing out certain attributes and playing with certain moves in a kind of dynamic way. So yeah, so there you be.